of human interaction, it is natural to consider the needs and emotions of others. Empathy and compassion play crucial roles in maintaining healthy relationships. However, there is a fine line between genuine care for others and self-abandonment. One way this can manifest is through a psychological defense mechanism known as fawning. This phenomenon was first studied by therapist Pete Walker, who defines fawning as a survival strategy rooted in people-pleasing behavior. It often arises from a deep-rooted fear of rejection or a desire to avoid conflict at any cost. People who engage in fawning tend to prioritize the needs, wants, and emotions of others above their own. They may go to great lengths to please others, sacrificing their own well-being and personal boundaries in the process. With that said, here are 6 telltale signs that you're abandoning yourself for others, according to experts. Difficulty setting boundaries. Struggling to establish and enforce personal boundaries can be a red flag for fawning. When you struggle to set boundaries, it means you have difficulty defining and communicating what is acceptable or unacceptable to you in your relationships. You may fear that asserting your boundaries will lead to conflict or rejection. As a result, you may allow others to overstep your limits, ignore your own needs, and prioritize the needs of others instead. This can lead to a general erosion of your sense of self and self-worth, says Tran. Difficulty expressing opinions. If you find it challenging to express your own opinions, preferences, or beliefs, it may indicate that you are prioritizing the views of others over your own. Authentic self-expression can be challenging because fear of disagreement or disapproval can lead to self-silencing and a loss of your authentic voice. Asserting yourself and voicing your true thoughts, feelings, and opinions can trigger intense guilt or shame because you've internalized the belief that your needs are less important than those of others. Overextending yourself. Another common behavior among those who abandon themselves for others is taking on more responsibilities and tasks than they can reasonably handle. This is because people who struggle with fawning often feel obligated to fix or rescue people from their problems, resulting in an excessive amount of commitment. This overextension can lead to exhaustion, burnout, neglect of self-care, and a lack of time and energy to focus on your own needs and personal growth. Do you like this video so far? If you found this valuable and helpful, please support our work by leaving a like, comment, and subscribe. Lack of reciprocity. People who abandon themselves for others often struggle to receive the same level of dedication and emotional support they put into their relationships. So if this rings true for you, you most likely don't even ask or accept support from others because of an internalized belief that your needs are less important or that you must always be the caretaker. But by refusing support, you reinforce the pattern of neglecting your own needs and denying yourself the help that could contribute to your own well-being. Tolerating disrespectful behavior. Continuously tolerating disrespectful or abusive behavior from others without asserting yourself or taking appropriate action is another strong indicator of self-abandonment. Abandoning yourself for others can lead to a tolerance for disrespectful or abusive behavior from others. Due to a fear of conflict or rejection, you may find it challenging to assert yourself or establish boundaries when faced with disrespectful treatment. This tolerance perpetuates the cycle of self-abandonment and can have negative consequences on your self-esteem and overall well-being. Emotional exhaustion. Engaging in fawning behavior can be emotionally draining. Constantly catering to the needs of others can leave you feeling overwhelmed, fatigued, and emotionally depleted. And despite your efforts to please others, you may find that you still feel a sense of emptiness or dissatisfaction with yourself. This lack of fulfillment stems from neglecting your own needs and passions in favor of meeting the expectations of others. Constantly neglecting your own needs and feelings can lead to emotional fatigue and potential burnout. These signs highlight the impact self-abandonment can have on various aspects of our lives, including emotional well-being, boundaries, and support systems. Recognizing the signs of fawning and its connection to abandoning oneself for others is crucial for personal growth and well-being. By becoming aware of these patterns, you can begin to work towards reclaiming your sense of self, setting healthy boundaries, and fostering a sense of balance and self-care in your relationships. What are your thoughts on this video? Did it emotionally resonate with you? If so, how do you plan to return to yourself today? Let us know in the comments below. If you found this valuable or helpful in any way, please support our work by leaving a like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching!
Abandonment is a strong word. No one wants to be abandoned, but a pervasive fear of abandonment is something that can be picked up on and addressed by a licensed therapist. Here are a few ways you can spot a fear of abandonment in yourself. How does a fear of abandonment form? Examining the childhood of people with a fear of abandonment, one thing stands out: loss. This loss could come in many forms. The loss of a close friend, a close family member, or divorce can all lead to a fear of abandonment. A study on the effect of divorce was published in the Journal of Abnormal Child Psychology, and another separate study on the effect of the loss of a parent was published in the Journal of Youth and Adolescence. A common finding between both of these studies was the effect each event had on attachment, and that both events were an origin for depressive symptoms. Other factors can contribute as well, such as constant ridiculing or a lack of physical affection. Children require a lot of love and care, but sometimes parents don't consider the long-term effects of how they speak and act around their children. But a child can't look at you and say, "Hey, I have a fear of abandonment." So how else do we know a fear of abandonment is forming? Look at your attachment style. These can change over time, but can be present from your childhood into adulthood. This is a good indicator of a fear of abandonment, no matter what stage of life you're currently in. Abandonment issues and a fear of abandonment are a form of anxiety. People with a fear of abandonment typically show signs of an anxious or an avoidant attachment style. According to psychologist Dr. Francis Stevens, people with different attachment styles cope with emotions in different ways. People with an anxious attachment style have trouble controlling their response to emotions. People with an avoidant attachment style have trouble recognizing emotion. If you have an anxious attachment style, you might hate being alone. You might have a poor sense of self-worth, and you might constantly be aware of potential threats to your relationships. It may feel inevitable that your partner or close friends will leave you. In your relationships, you might constantly require validation or reassurance. Seeking reassurance is a normal thing from time to time, but a constant need for reassurance points towards a deeper insecurity that could potentially come from a fear of abandonment. Physical touch. If you feel like something is wrong in your relationship just because your partner hasn't reached for your hand, hugged you, or kissed you in the last 5 minutes, you might have an anxious attachment style. Remember what we said earlier? A lack of physical affection can contribute to a fear of abandonment forming in your childhood. See how the way our childhood unfolds affects our lives? A study on affection deprivation by psychologist Corey Floyd found that being deprived of affection negatively affects us in many ways, namely general health, happiness, social support, and most importantly, with regards to a fear of abandonment, relationship satisfaction and attachment security. We will always try to fill the voids we find in ourselves. We want words of reassurance and physical affection because it's a vital part of our upbringing that we never had. So we look for these things in the people we're closest with now. So, have you asked yourself if something has happened in your childhood that might have caused you to be afraid of abandonment? Is something happening now that makes you think that this fear is influencing your closest relationships? How will a fear of abandonment affect your future? A fear of abandonment doesn't have to define your relationships with friends and family for the rest of your life. All it means is that some people might think of you as clingy or needy, and it can make relationships frustrating for you as well. It may feel like there's always something missing. You aren't getting enough affection or attention. Your friends don't care about you. Your family isn't proud of you. These thoughts build resentment. A fear of abandonment can cause you to grow distant and avoid building close relationships. According to communication experts Craig Fowler and Megan Dillow, people with attachment styles that indicate a fear of abandonment often cause conflicts that result in their fears becoming a reality. It can be lonely. But there is hope. A fear of abandonment is something that can be identified by a licensed therapist. They can offer you tools that will aid your journey through your fears and lead you to a place where your relationships can feel more complete. Aside from professional help, your partner should be someone who is understanding and present. Try to talk to them about your fears and the things they can do to feel present. And if you are the partner or friend of someone who has a fear of abandonment, you could use your words in reassuring your partner. According to a 2009 study published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships, couples with insecure attachment styles tend to have worse communication. So if you or your partner has a fear of abandonment, communication should be a major focus, with the goal of making one another feel secure. You're only human. You can get distracted or busy and can't give your partner attention 24/7. So whenever you have a chance, just tell them you love them or send them a text saying you're thinking about them. It can't hurt to do this regardless of whether or not they have a fear of abandonment. Just bear in mind that a person with a fear of abandonment may just require a little more attention. Try to become familiar with the anxious and avoidant attachment styles to better understand what they might be thinking and feeling in order to avoid conflict. So, do you or a loved one struggle with a fear of abandonment? Share some tips that have helped you in the comments below.